Welcome to Grandma's Tales. I am so happy you are here with me, tucked in and ready for a journey to a land far, far away. Tonight, let me take you to the Far East, a land where the sun turns the endless sands into a sea of liquid gold. This is a gentle version of Aladdin's story, specially crafted to be safe and peaceful for your little one's bedtime. No scary moments, my dear, just the shimmer of magic and a carpet that can fly among the stars. Take a deep breath. Feel how heavy and relaxed your blankets feel. Let the warm desert wind carry you away into a peaceful sleep. In a distant kingdom where the sky glows like a warm sunset and the heat of the day stays in the old sun-baked stones, lived a boy named Aladdin. This was a land of soft golden sand dunes that moved like slow waves under a bright, friendly sun. The city where he lived rose from the sands like a beautiful dream. Its walls were white and clean, and its roofs were covered in tiles that shone like bright pearls in the morning light. Aladdin was a boy with a very kind heart. He lived with his mother in a small, tidy house at the very edge of the city, where the streets meet the endless, quiet desert. Aladdin wore simple clothes, soft and clean from many washings. He had a small vest the color of a sunset, dark orange with a hint of gold thread at the seams. On his head, he wore a little hat woven from straw to protect him from the warm sun. His eyes were dark and bright, always looking at the eagles soaring high above the tall, slender towers of the palace. He didn't have gold in his pockets, but his heart was as free as the desert wind. His mother loved him more than all the treasures in the world. She wore a soft, sky-blue shawl, and she kept their home smelling like sweet jasmine flowers and freshly baked bread. They didn't have much, but their home was filled with love and the sound of quiet laughter. Every evening, they would sit on their small porch and watch the stars begin to twinkle over the dunes, feeling thankful for the peace of the desert night. One afternoon, as the shadows began to grow long and purple in the market, a traveller approached Aladdin. The man wore dark indigo silk robes that seemed to hold the colour of the deep ocean. Around his waist was a silver belt, and on his head was a tall turban with a single glowing green stone. He spoke to Aladdin in a voice that was low and smooth. He told him of a secret room hidden deep beneath the sands, a place where a magic lamp had been waiting for 100 years. Aladdin felt a little bit excited, but also very careful. The traveller promised that if Aladdin found the lamp, he would give him enough gold to buy his mother the finest silk clothes and build her a garden where the roses never lost their petals and the water always ran cool. Aladdin, wanting only to bring comfort to his mother, agreed to go. They travelled far into the desert, beyond the city gates, to a place where the mountains looked like big, silent shadows against the violet sky. The traveller whispered soft, old words to the ground. With a low, heavy sound, A hidden door made of shiny, dark stone opened in the sand. It showed a long staircase leading deep into the earth. Aladdin stopped for a moment at the top. The air coming from below was cool and smelled of old books and ancient dust. It was very quiet. He felt a little bit of fear, like a small bird fluttering in his chest. But then he thought of his mother's tired but kind smile, and he took a deep breath. He began to walk down, one step at a time, down into the quiet, peaceful belly of the world. At the bottom of the stairs, Aladdin found a room that took his breath away. It was a vast, silent hall where the walls were made of crystals that glowed with a soft, milky light like the moon. The floor was made of smooth, white stone, shining like a mirror under his feet. In the center of this hall stood a forest of magic. There were trees made of solid silver, with leaves made of green emeralds that made a sound like tiny silver bells when he walked past. On the ground lay piles of white pearls as large as eggs, and gold coins that flowed over the floor like a frozen river of warm sunlight. It was a garden made of jewels, a place where the colors were so bright they seemed to hum a quiet song of their own. Aladdin walked slowly through this garden of jewels, being very careful not to trip. He saw a fountain where the water looked like blue sapphire, bubbling softly in the silence. He saw fruit hanging from silver branches, rubies as red as apples, and topazes as yellow as lemons. He wanted so much to pick up just one small gem for his mother, to see the light in her eyes when he brought it home. But he remembered the traveller's stern warning: touch nothing but the old lamp. Aladdin was a boy of great discipline. He kept his hands tucked safely into his orange vest. He walked past the gold, past the silver, and past the sparkling stones. Finally, in the very center of the hall, on a simple stone stand that looked very old, sat the lamp. It was not made of gold or covered in jewels. It was a small, humble lamp made of copper, and it was covered in a thick layer of grey dust. It looked lonely there, like an old friend who had been forgotten for a very long time. Aladdin picked it up gently. It felt cool and solid in his hand. He felt a sudden warm love for the little object. It didn't belong in this cold, jeweled prison. It belonged in a home where people talked and laughed. He tucked the lamp into his belt and turned to leave. But as he turned, his eyes caught a shimmer of movement in a dark corner of the room. Tucked behind a pile of soft velvet cushions was a rug. But it was not an ordinary rug. It was woven from the finest silk, with a background of deep midnight blue that seemed to hold the stars of the night sky. The borders were decorated with golden threads in the shape of suns and moons. As Aladdin stepped closer, the rug began to twitch. It unrolled itself with a soft, rhythmic sound, stretching its fibers like a cat waking up from a long nap. Aladdin knelt down and touched the fabric. It was as soft as a cloud and felt strangely warm and alive. The rug nudged his hand gently, and Aladdin let out a small, amazed laugh. "A magic carpet," he whispered into the quiet room. The carpet hovered a few inches off the ground, inviting him to sit. Aladdin felt a wave of peace. He wasn't alone in the dark anymore. He had found a new friend. When Aladdin reached the cave entrance, holding the lamp tightly, the traveller's face changed. The man's eyes were no longer kind. They were bright with greed, like a cat watching a mouse. He demanded the lamp before helping Aladdin out of the dark hole. But Aladdin, sensing a coldness in the man's voice, refused to give it up until his feet were safe on the warm sand. In a fit of anger, the traveller slammed the heavy stone door shut. Thud. The world went black. Aladdin was trapped in total darkness. He sat on the magic carpet, clutching the copper lamp to his chest. He felt the cold air of the cave, and a sense of loneliness started to creep into his heart. "I'm sorry, little lamp," he whispered into the silence. "I tried my best to take you home." He took his soft linen sleeve and began to rub the lamp gently, hoping to at least make it shine a little bit in the dark. Suddenly, a brilliant, soft blue light filled the room. It didn't burn his eyes. It was refreshing and calm, like the first light of a beautiful summer morning. Out of a shimmering blue mist stepped the Genie. He was a magnificent being, with skin the colour of a clear sky and a beard as white as a mountain peak. He wore golden bands around his wrists and had a smile that felt like a warm fire on a cold night. "I am the spirit of the lamp," he said, his voice deep and slow, like a cello playing a peaceful song. "You have a heart of gold, Aladdin. You showed that kindness and honesty are more valuable than all the emeralds in this cave. Tell me, little one, what is the first wish of your soul?" Aladdin didn't hesitate for even a second. He didn't ask for a crown of jewels or a palace made of silver. He looked at the Genie and thought of his dry, thirsty city above. He thought of the tired mothers and the children who had no green grass to play on. "I wish for the wells of my city to be full of sweet, cool water," he said softly, "and for the gardens to be green and full of fruit forever, so no one ever goes hungry again." The Genie's eyes twinkled with pure joy. "A wish for others is the greatest magic of all," he replied. With a slow snap of his fingers, a wave of silver light surged upward, passing through the heavy stone and into the world above. Then the Genie gestured to the magic carpet. "Now, let us take you home to your mother." The magic carpet whisked Aladdin through the dark stone door, which vanished like a puff of smoke at the Genie's command. They soared into the desert night, and the flight was the most beautiful thing Aladdin had ever seen. The air was cool and smelled of night-blooming flowers. Below them, the sand dunes were no longer harsh or hot. They looked like silver waves sleeping under a massive glowing moon. The carpet moved with incredible grace, responding to Aladdin's every breath. It dipped and rose, gliding between the stars like a silent bird. Aladdin felt a wild, soaring joy in his heart. He looked at the vast, silent desert and realized that he was a part of a big, wonderful world. The stars seemed so close, he could almost reach out and put one in his pocket. He leaned back against the soft silk of the carpet and felt completely safe. When they arrived at his mother's garden, the change was already visible. The dry, dusty ground was now covered in soft green grass that felt like a fresh blanket. A fountain of clear, sparkling water bubbled in the center of the courtyard, making a sound like soft laughter. The trees were heavy with purple figs, sweet dates, and red pomegranates. His mother was standing by the fountain, her blue shawl flowing in the gentle night breeze. When she saw her son descending from the sky on a starlit rug, she let out a cry of pure happiness. Aladdin ran to her, and they shared a long, silent hug under the light of the moon. He told her everything: the cave, the silver trees, and the wonderful new friends he had made. Aladdin's mother was amazed by the lamp and the carpet, but she was most proud of her son's heart. "You have brought more than just water and fruit to this city, Aladdin," she said softly, stroking his hair. "You have brought hope." The genie stayed with them, often appearing in a smaller, more human size, to help Aladdin's mother in the kitchen, or to tell stories of the old world while they sat together on the roof. The magic carpet became the family's favorite place to rest. During the day, it lay in the warm sun, soaking up the heat, and at night, it would gently lift Aladdin and his mother above the rooftops to watch the city sleep in peace. It was a life of simple wonders, where every day felt like a gift. The city changed completely. The white marble domes now stood among lush parks and flowing rivers of clear water. People were happier, and their voices in the market were full of laughter instead of worry. Aladdin became a guardian of the city, not with a sword or a shield, but with a kind and listening heart. He used the genie's magic only to help those who were in need. He still wore his simple linen tunic and his sunset orange vest, for he didn't want to forget who he was. He understood that the real treasure was the peace in his mother's eyes and the ability to make his neighbors smile. He spent his days teaching the children how to care for the new gardens, showing them that a seed and a little bit of water could grow into something magnificent. One evening, as the sky turned a deep, dusty purple, the genie and Aladdin sat together by the fountain. The genie looked at the peaceful city and told Aladdin that he had taught him something very important. "I have served many masters over thousands of years," the genie said, his voice as soft as the evening wind. "But most people only wanted to take. You are the first who wanted to give. That, Aladdin, is the true secret of the lamp." Aladdin smiled and looked at the copper lamp sitting on the stone edge of the fountain. It was no longer dusty. It shone with a soft, comforting blue light, reflecting the stars above. He realized that the lamp was like a mirror, showing the goodness inside his own soul. The years went by, and the story of the boy from the edge of the desert became a legend. It was told in every home, a story that reminded children that being curious is a gift, and being kind is the strongest magic of all. Aladdin and his mother lived in a world of peace, where every sunset was a golden blessing. Your eyes are closing now, little one. The world is quiet and safe. Imagine you are floating on a soft blue carpet, high among the friendly stars. Your breath is slow, and your dreams are full of golden sands and magic lamps. Sleep well. Good night. Sleep in the light of the moon. The end. For more audiobooks for preschoolers or 3-year-olds, stay on our channel. Good night.